I am finally hands-on with the Apple AirPods Max 2s, and these have been making waves out there. Not all good waves, but there's plenty to be excited about here, with the headline feature, of course, being the inclusion of the same H2 chip that Apple brought to the AirPods Pro 3s. As you may recall from this channel, I was not excited by the audio tuning changes that Apple made to the Pro 3s, but there's no denying that the noise cancellation and extremely natural voice pass-through that the H2 chip enables is a killer feature, and I did ultimately end up switching over completely to the Pro 3s. However, I think we're unlikely to have a similar experience with the Max 2s. Let's get to that in a second though. First, the included accessories. You get a brassiere, not a large one, not a comfortable one, but a magnetic one. HR, no stickers. How much are these again? For $550 US, they couldn't give me a charging brick or a proper case? Sorry, you know what's funny is I wrote the title for this video because I was kind of thinking, yeah, there's a lot of issues with the AirPods Max 2s, but realistically, they're no different than the issues that I had with the original AirPods Max 5+ years ago, and I just feel like I've grieved them already. You know, the lackluster accessories, the super heavy weight, and mediocre ergonomics, but maybe I do find myself freshly offended by them. To be clear, lots of things don't include a charging brick anymore, a trend that Apple was at the forefront of. And I guess I'm not the only one who feels that way, because one of the main criticisms of the AirPods Max 2s is that Apple just plain hasn't changed that much over the last 5 years. And for some people, this felt like a product that deserved an overhaul. At the bottom, we've got a USB-C charging port, but even that's not new because they did do a refreshed version of the AirPods Maxes that did have USB-C. We've got some of the whomping 9 microphones that are studding this thing. 3 of them aid in voice capture, while 8 of them are used for active noise cancellation. So there is a little bit of overlap there. We've also got our crown dial and our listening mode button, so we can quickly and easily toggle between active noise cancellation or transparency. I do like Apple's approach to removable ear cups. This material is not my favorite, but I also don't find it offensive. And oh, there's our optical sensor to detect whether you're wearing them or not. I've been told by a fellow whose hair is, how do we put this, not as thick as it once was, that apparently this mesh can be quite uncomfortable.
It's not even a mesh, it's like the 2 bars. Like the mesh
bars
doesn't provide enough cushioning, so the weight of the headphones just pulls those bars on the edge down. So
oh, turns out I misunderstood. I thought he was talking about something that was unique to people with less hair. No, the bars just go on my head too.
Okay.
Like it's just not a very good headband, that's all. And they're not a super strong clamping force headphone, so you can't just kind of like rely on them to hold themselves up. Or rather, you might be able to, except that they're so bloody heavy that over time they tend to make their way down and then you end up with that pressure immediately. My God, though. That noise cancellation. I don't even have any content playing. Sorry, I just get very excited by Apple's noise cancellation because there's more to it than just how much noise it blocks. It's very comfortable in a way that is hard to fully describe, other than that they just don't really apply that ANC pressure that you get with some other solutions, while also covering an extremely broad band of audio frequencies. I just love it. It's so good. As someone who gets a little bit of sensory overload, one of my primary use cases for my AirPods Pro 3s is just putting them in when the situation is too much. And these more than achieve the same effect. I just wish that they were as comfortable to carry. I have occasionally, over the last 5 years, seen people with AirPods Maxes, but based on how few I see compared to AirPods like in-ears, it doesn't surprise me that Apple just isn't that focused on this product line. And I can see why some other content creators, if they're into over-ears, are frustrated that Apple's vision for this product hasn't really changed. And for me, the biggest issue is just the weight. One of my classic tests with headphones to determine whether they're gonna be comfortable for me to wear long-term is to give my head a shake. And, you know, I'm an active person when I'm out and about. I'm not the kind of person who is afraid to run when they're late for a bus or a crosswalk light. And anything that is not going to solidly stay on and is light enough to just kind of grab onto my head and be part of me is just not really able to be part of my life. But a lot can be forgiven with outstanding active noise cancellation, and to their credit, they're actually really similar to the AirPods Pro 3s in terms of the naturalness of my own speaking voice as well. That's very cool. And the H2 chip enables some other cool features that I don't care about, but you might. Like adaptive audio, conversation awareness, voice isolation, and live translation, which are all coming to the Max lineup for the first time, along with Bluetooth 5.3 rather than 5.0. But I can see why some folks were underwhelmed. I guess my expectations were just really low. Oh, speaking of needing a new software version on your phone to use headphones, if you were hoping to get any of the fancy pants features of the AirPods Maxes on a non-iPhone, no major changes there, unfortunately, while some of them may end up being reverse engineered, like monitoring battery life and stuff like that. It is no guarantee that it will work or that it will remain working if it does. Apple continues to treat this product like one that, yeah, you bought it, but do you really need all the features or do you need to buy more stuff from us? Which is an attitude that I just can never get behind from any company. Brad lent me his phone. That was the solution rather than waiting half an hour for an update. All right, connect. What if I don't want to carry this case around with me? But like, how am I gonna pair them then? Can you pair them without the case? Oh, okay. To be clear, you can pair them to your phone without going through this process, but you'll only get a Bluetooth connection, so a lot of the special features won't work. It'll be just like if you were paired to an Android phone, like some kind of pleb. No, I don't need personalized volume. Sure, I'll have conversation awareness. No, I don't need that. All right, downloading some languages, let's go. Lossless audio with USB-C, very cool, and done. All right, they're on, it's on. We brought a French speaker. So translate, here we go, live. Okay, their language, French. Your language, English. And you know what? I'm gonna go English UK. Hi there.
Salut, comment ça va?
I am very well, thank you for asking. Where can I find the nearest lingerie shop?
Je ne sais pas, je cherche aussi.
Oh, that's wonderful. Maybe we could go shopping together. Conveniently, I also understand French reasonably well. This is like a very good translation. Very cool. This is the first time we've managed to get a live translation feature working on the ShortCircuit set too, so that's a milestone. Digital crown, let's get that adjusted. I don't like it when things are not clockwise to increase. Ooh, I'm gonna throw it in noise cancellation. It's doing a really good job with my voice, like it's passing it through even though I'm in noise cancellation mode.
Hey, Linus,
It's almost like too good right now. Am I just in transparency mode?
Hey!
No, yeah, no, it's doing a great job. It just switches over to transparency mode. That's great. On the subject of battery, they claim up to 20 hours, which is pretty nice if you're out and about for a long time. There is no battery in the case, unlike the AirPods not Max. All right, finally using it. I already find myself wanting to engage in a really bad habit. I want to turn the volume up so that I can hear better, which tells me that any criticisms Apple has garnered for the sound signature not being improved over last time, well, you know what? I'm gonna leave it to DMS actually, who's gonna jump in and give you guys a closer look at the acoustic performance of the AirPods Max 2s.
Me? Yeah! Let's talk about science. I'm DMS. I'm Lab's resident audio nerd, and I can tell you exactly how these sound with science and how they compare to the first gen using this guy. But first, I want to tell you about this segue to our sponsor.
Happy Email Day! And if you're asking yourself, what is Email Day? Well, you're not alone. Our sponsor Zero Bounce is here to tell you. Email Day honors Ray Tomlinson, who sent the very first email and introduced the @ symbol. What started as a simple idea has become a core part of how businesses connect, engage, and grow. In honor of April 23rd being Email Day, Zero Bounce is giving you 23% off of their email validation pay-as-you-go credits and Zero Bounce One monthly plans. So, if you want to save on their accurate, fast, and secure email verification service, go to zerobounce.net/shortcircuit and use promo code ShortCircuit today.
Global shipping costs are out of control, but we've got a way to fight back. That's right, ShipStorm has returned. From April 24th to May 7th, you can get free shipping site-wide on lttstore.com of orders over $150 in the US and Canada or $225 worldwide. No special code required. Just load up your cart and you're good to go. And to help you hit that threshold, we have got some killer deals. Our ridiculously comfortable blank t-shirts are on a massive sliding scale of savings. The more you buy, the more you save. Scribe pens and pencils are just $19.99, perfect for writing down all those DIY projects that you are definitely gonna finish someday. And for our American friends, we've got a special deal on bags just for you. Purchase either a commuter backpack or the original backpack and get a tech sack for free. And if you want an even lower threshold for free shipping, you can sign up for our Supporter Plus tier at flowplane.com for an even better offer. We'll have that linked down below.
Okay, let's get into the nerdy stuff. So here's how we test things. We measure sweeps of sound that cover the whole range you can hear. We do it using this guy, this thing, and a tiny microphone in my real human ear. I take all that information, crunch it down, and build a map of how these headphones perform on my head, on your head, and probably some other guy who's watching. So here's what that data looks like. On this end, we have the bass, the deepest part of what you can hear. On this end, we have the treble, the sizzles, the highs. Here we have the mid-range, what makes the music sound full. And this gray area that goes all the way across, that's the average listener preference. If the sound falls within this range, it means you'll probably perceive it as being higher sound quality. And that's important. This range is pretty wide. So let's break it down, starting with the bass. Right here, you'll notice this has a lot of sub bass. That's pretty significant. This thing extends down very deep, so you get a lot of that rumble. We have a decent tilt down here going into the mid-range, but it's still a bit outside of our average listener preference bounds. That means the average person will probably find these to be pretty bass heavy. Now, that might be a good thing depending on your preferences. For me, it's a bit too much. The mid-range right here, that's pretty good. This is really linear, and I don't really have any complaints in this range at all. This is exactly what I would expect from a really solid, maybe 7 out of 10 mid-range. It means that your music is gonna sound nice and full. There's not gonna be too many holes in it through here. Then we have this area right here. This is mostly where vocals live, and you'll notice on the top of this range, it's where things start to go south. Literally, we get a huge dip right here in what is very close to the most sensitive part of your ears, this. What this means is that the upper end of vocals, especially female vocals, start sounding a bit nasally, like they're recessed in the treble. It's not really what you want. And on top of that, literally, things start trending up pretty strong. The areas that make things sibilant, where the th sounds are very harsh and piercing and a bit too sharp for the average person. There's a little bit of erratic stuff like this that we're getting more on measurements in real human ears. You will hear a bit of that, and it's going to make it sound a bit more unpleasant, but overall, this is where the biggest issue is. And this dip and this elevation side by side make each other sound a bit more severe. The result is a headphone that is close to what people describe as V-shaped. I think you can see why. Now I have a bit of a rant on this, and I'll condense it as short as I possibly can. It frustrates me that a company that has this much money is making this kind of mistake. This right here is the result of a common mistake that I see of people misinterpreting microphone in real ear measurements. Now, there's no way to know exactly what it is that Apple was thinking with this or what they were planning because it's kind of a black box. We don't have a lot of visibility into what makes these work and why they chose to tune them this way, but we know that it's outside of the range that most people are going to like. Let's compare this to the AirPods Max version 1. These do measure a ton, like the AirPods Max version 1. You can see the Max 1 here in blue and the Max 2 in red. Realistically, they're almost exactly the same through the bass, through most of the mid-range. We get a little bit of a difference right here based on the placement, but really, they're almost exactly the same through the bass and through the mid-range. We get a little bit of difference in terms of the elevation of some of these peaks in the treble on specifically that thing right there, the head and torso simulator. Now, depending on your placement, you could get bigger differences than this, but realistically, it seems like they didn't want to change much. They decided to keep it as close as possible to the original AirPods Maxes, with what some might call a slight refinement, but not what I would call an improvement. Now, just because they measure very similar, it doesn't mean they're the exact same. Some things were retained from the original that I think are fantastic. These have the best transparency mode that I have ever heard in an audio product, bar none. I mean, these sound more open than some super open back headphones, which is just crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And they definitely improved the active noise canceling. The active noise canceling, like on the AirPods Pro 3, is a massive jump over everything else that I had previously heard before that. And the rest of the competition is starting to catch up, but these are truly in a league of their own in terms of ANC. But is that worth it for the compromise they make in sound? Not for me, maybe for you, and I think it really comes down to things like ecosystem. I'm not heavily invested in the Apple ecosystem. I do have a MacBook, I do have an iPhone, but I also have a graphene phone. I also have a Linux desktop, and with all those devices, I don't really use the automatic device switching. The devices I do use have multi-point connectivity and are already connected to all my things anyway. These are the HDB 630s, by the way, from Sennheiser. I love these, but while they're better on sound quality, they don't compete in terms of active noise canceling or transparency. So it really depends on what are your priorities. If you're an audio person, this probably isn't the headphone for you. And maybe you're a person using these for meetings. The 8 mic array is incredible, and the microphones inside the cup allow these to perform way more consistently from head to head, especially in the bass. You could be the kind of person using these with an Apple TV and spatial audio to watch movies and not disturb your partner. That's actually a pretty cool use case, especially because the sub bass is so strong. But the best spatial audio device that Apple made was the AirPods Pro 2. Oh, which are discontinued. It just depends on what you're looking for and what you're after. I personally don't recommend these from an audio nerd perspective, but if that's not really what you're into, does it matter? At $549, they're not cheap. You could buy 11 pairs of the Cos Porta Pro, which is a cheap audio legend of a headphone. I honestly think they look kind of cooler than these too. But for some people, especially someone who's really into the Apple ecosystem, this might be worth it. Do you want to know about a premium headphone that has some similar problems to these, but that you can actually fix with software? It's these. These are the Nothing headphones, and you can check out their video down below. Remember, good sound is getting cheap sound is getting good, price does not correlate with sound quality, and vote with your wallet.